Hi everybody, Kevin McNamara here. Welcome to the Inspired Healing Podcast, proudly sponsored by 100 Days to Self-Mastery Challenge. That is a challenge where you get to go inside, select your own challenge. It can be anything at all, but know this, it will change your mind, body and soul. There's a 7-day free trial right now. Links are down below. Go and check it out. Now here's today's episode. Hi everybody, it's Kev here. Consistency, discipline, massive action. You know the drill. That's what you need to be doing to have a great and successful 2021. I hope you're up for it. Hope you're doing it. I hope you're seeing some of the results of your labor. Now today, I want to talk about the Great Equalizer. Now just imagine for a moment what it would be like to have been Alexander the Great, for example. Alexander the Great was conquering most of the known world by the time he was 30 years old. 30, and he conquered most of the known world. He was born into royalty, even surpassing the incredible accomplishments of his father to rule an empire. So imagine what that must have been like. Imagine what it would have been like to be Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome 2,000 years ago. He was the head of an army of over 1 million men, and the money in his treasury is just, well, there was unfathomable wealth, basically. Imagine walking into the Colosseum and knowing that everyone within it was your subject. They absolutely worshipped the ground that you walked on, worshipped you like people worship gods. That everything you wanted could be yours with just the snap of a finger. Imagine that. Imagine having all that wealth. Now just stop and think about where it got those men. And Marcus Aurelius certainly thought about that. He thought a lot about Alexander the Great, who had lived just a couple of centuries before him, who had ruled many of the same lands that Marcus Aurelius actually ruled. And they both experienced this fame at a fairly early age. And Marcus Aurelius wrote, and this is a wonderful quote that I didn't quite understand when I first heard it, Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both. I'll just read that again. Just think about it. See if it makes sense to you. Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both. That was written by Marcus Aurelius, and it did take me a while to work that out. But then I worked it out. Death was the great equalizer. Alexander the Great, for all his riches, all the land that he ruled over, all that money he had, he could have anything at all. But when he died, he died. And when the mule driver died, who was just a peasant, basically, he died as well, the same as Alexander the Great. It's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. It doesn't matter what you've done in your life. We all die eventually. Think about Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. All these rich people in the world, eventually they too are going to die. The homeless person down the street is also going to die. Death is the great equalizer. And once you understand that, you really understand how important it is to go out and live your best life. Yes, it's an equalizer, but what did those people leave behind? We're still talking about Marcus Aurelius. We're still talking about Alexander the Great. You know, over 2,000 years ago, they were here. 2,000 years later, we're still talking about them. We're not talking about the people who were average back in those times. We're talking about the people who did great things. But the key here is we all die. And so we've got to make the most of what we've got now. We've got to go out and do the best we possibly can. And we are all going to die. And when you get that, you realize, wow, I've got to try and make my mark on this world. What is the point of me being here if I'm just going to live and do nothing and just wait to die? Make the most of every single second of every single day, because it may well be your last. No one lives forever. We all, certainly when we're younger, we like to think, yeah, look, I don't think I'm going to die. I think I live forever. It doesn't happen. Let me tell you, it does not happen. Every single person is going to die. Think of all your favourite actors from years ago. Most of them are dead. The really cool guys, the Paul Newmans, the Marilyn Monroes. Doesn't matter how cool you are, how tough you are going to die eventually. Make the most of today. And that's where it comes down to that being consistent, being disciplined, taking massive action. your life can be amazing. Why go through life living an average life when you can really go out there, grab your life by the neck and say, hey, we're going to go on a journey and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a real adventure. Make your life an adventure every single day, because eventually that adventure is going to end. Just like every movie ends, just like every poem ends, just like every story ends. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. And for a lot of us, we're coming close to that end. You've got to make the most of every single day. Just accept the fact that Alexander the Great died, and so did his mule driver. They both died. And it didn't matter how much wealth Alexander had, or how little wealth his mule driver had. Death is the great equalizer. Never forget that. And make today the best day of your life, and then do it every single day. Consistency, discipline, massive action. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate that. If you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe, rate, and leave a review for the Inspired Healing Podcast on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. And don't forget, come and join me inside the 100 Days to Self-Mastery Challenge, so you too can change your mindset and your life. We now have a 7-day free trial. Go and check it out. Link is in the show notes below, and please have a most inspiring day.